Dean and Wendy had no idea how frightening Ted would be when he snapped, but now they did. Those bloodshot eyes seemed to be the accumulation of plenty of grief and wrath, and it really scared them. He was a raging beast that would tear everything to pieces if provoked again. Wendy gulped, feeling humiliated that she would be afraid of Ted. However, her instincts screamed at her that she must not provoke Ted anymore, at least not now. What do you want?" she shrieked. "Are you going to kill us? I'm warning you. If you hurt us again, Luna will come for you." Luna, she still had the gall to mention Luna. However, her name did calm Ted down considerably. No matter how callous Luna had been, he really did love her. Even if they were just divorced, and even if things had turned so bitter, he would not have attacked Wendy and Dean. That was if they had not pushed him too far. They had agreed to go their separate ways, but in the end it still came to such harassment, all over money. And it was over that wealth that the Lamberts became the pathetic people they were now. It was also why Luna considered Ted beneath her, coming to believe that he did not deserve her and hence divorced him, all because they suddenly got rich. But Ted really did not care about that. Looking between Dean and Wendy, he took a deep breath to calm down before speaking coolly. "For the last time, I'm not keeping anything Luna bought. Whether it's the car, the house, the restaurant, or the cash she's trying to give me, you can take it if you want. What you do with it is your own business. That's all I have to say. Whether you believe it is up to you, but never come looking for me or contact me ever again. Do you understand?" At this point, Wendy had to believe him. Moreover, she knew Ted a little and could tell that he was telling the truth. "Are you serious? You don't want anything?" Ted nodded and said coolly, "Everything so precious to you is worth nothing to me. But you're not taking what's mine either. I've left some of my old works at Lake Garden Villas, so return those to me, and we can go our separate ways." However, that left Wendy frowning. "Are you just trying to mess with us? What, do you think you're some master artist and that I'd preserve your stuff like they're precious? If you want them back, just go look for them yourself. They'll be gathering dust in some abandoned corner. Once you find them, you can take them with you. We don't need your worthless crap, even if you're giving it to us for free." Worthless crap? Even if he was giving it to them for free? Ted shook his head, chuckling coolly. How ignorant. His work, quality notwithstanding, was worth a king's ransom if it ever reached the public's eye and was spotted by someone with keen eyes. And it was for no other reason than because he was Ted York and he was just that good. "Fine, I'll look for it myself," he snorted. "Let's get moving right now." However, Wendy frowned and snapped. "No chance. I'm taking my son to the hospital first. And if you lie to us, I'll come after you. Even if I can't win in a fight, don't you forget that those lives aren't worth money. And my family isn't short on money to order a hit on you. Consider it a threat, so just try lying to me." "Threat? Order a hit on him?" Ted snorted in disdain. "You live right next to a hospital. Once I get my stuff, you can go anywhere you like. I don't care anymore. And another thing. I left my car at Lunacorp's headquarters and left the keys with the security guard. So you're not getting it." As Ted proved further that he did not want anything, Wendy was naturally even more convinced. Compared to all the other wealth, a car naturally seemed unimportant. Still, Wendy made a mental note to get that car when she had time, since they were taking Ted's alimony behind Luna's back. "Fine, then we can go," she huffed. "Did you think we'd care about your crappy work? It's just junk that no one would ever take. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten that it's taking up space." Deciding that there really was nothing to discuss with some ignoramus, Ted simply smirked and kept quiet. Meanwhile, John Graham was urging his chauffeur to hurry, and he was so anxious that he could catch fire just then. Seated beside him was Lucas, who was tied up with nylon rope and his face left swollen by his father's slaps. There was endless grief in his eyes, along with terrible spite and rage. But why? What did he do? Lucas Graham, had gone to Ted York to request a house call, out of the goodness of his heart and to share the burden that was weighing on his family. And Ted had agreed to it, so why did he get beaten up for it? Sure, he had threatened Ted, but the man was at best a doctor whose skills had yet to be seen. So what if Lucas did threaten someone like Ted? Lucas had threatened plenty of others across Melville. What was Ted compared to the rest of them? To be fair, he could more or less understand if it was because of Luna. But even then, what did Lunacorp amount to? Sure, they were rocketing to success and became a billion-dollar company, but they were still an ant compared to the giant that was the Graham family. Why would John beat up Lucas for the rest of them? That was why Lucas was not just seething. He was so furious he could kill someone right now. However, John was feeling aggrieved too, and the more he watched Lucas, the more furious he was, what with the way he kept snorting and scoffing. His glare was clearly defiant, and so John promptly slapped him across the face with the back of his hand. Lucas' tears flowed down his cheeks, not from pain, but from genuine grief. "What's wrong with you, Dad? Why are you hitting me? What did I do wrong? Everything I've done is for the family. And it worked. What's gotten you so angry? It's just Ted York. He's nothing more than a loser. We don't even know if he's a miracle healer as they say he is. And I've never insulted him anyway." He was still arguing and saying that he did not insult Ted, even saying that Ted was nothing more than a loser. John's teeth were gritting doubly even as his face contorted viciously, and he kept slapping his son repeatedly in the back seat like the common thug. It was as if Lucas was not his son, but the son of a bitter enemy. John bellowed, "You oblivious prick! Why did I have to bring you into this world? You're so self-righteous and self-important. There's really no hope for you. I wasn't bothered to discipline you despite your usual antics. But your mom's life is at stake. I had to call in so many favors with the White family, just to find out about Mr. York. Only for you to ruin your mother's only hope. You bastard. I'll kill you." He was so furious that he was cursing Lucas endlessly, and even himself, but he could not care less. Soon, Lucas' face was left swollen from all the slapping. He did not even dare to argue now, as he could finally see that John really meant to kill him. Resisting John now would mean a worse beating. Even so, his grief was also overflowing and could erupt right then. He might have been obnoxious since he was a child, but he had never been beaten up so horribly like now. Worst of all, it was his father who usually spoiled him so much. Naturally, he would not dare to hate his own father, and all that hatred was therefore directed at Ted. The way Lucas saw it, he would not be beaten up this badly if not for Ted. So it was all Ted's fault. Eventually, John was panting as he reclined against his seat, having tired himself out. Still, he was glaring at Lucas as he asked wearily, "Put aside all your pride. Not even I get to be proud around him. Whatever gives you the right, mutt? Forget how masterful Mr. York is in medicine, or how our family needs him right now. Do you think we can afford to upset the White family? Easton quakes with every move they make, and if they respect Ted York, do you think we can afford to disrespect him? Moreover, I've heard from the White family that Mr. York is rumored to be well connected with the Cash family. I don't know why Mr. York is hiding his real identity, but that's the bigwig's own issue. Do you really think we get to have a say? Forget the Cash family. We can't even afford to get on the wrong side of the White family. And we're still counting on Mr. York to save your mother. So no matter how self-important you are, don't joke around with your mother's life." The White family and the Cash family, even to an impudent playboy like Lucas, those names left him thunderstruck. The White family were basically the kings of Easton, and top 3 among all of Easton's factions. The Cash family were even more superior than the White family. Even if the base of their power was not in the southeast, there still were not many in the region who dared to disrespect them. In fact, over recent years, the Cash family's influence was growing steadily in the southeastern states. The Grahams certainly did not compare with any of that. But was Ted really connected with these people? One way or the other, Lucas refused to believe that. If it was true, would Ted have caved into his threats? In the end, one could never wake a man when he was just pretending to sleep. All Lucas believed was what he thought, and not what others told him. And John could certainly tell from his face that he did not. But what could he do? There was no beating more sense into the brat now, or he might die. Though that was acceptable if it saved his wife's life. But they had yet to meet Ted. As such, John growled, "Remember, you can just pretend. But when you see Mr. York, kneel and apologize however you should. I'll give it to you straight right now. Insult him at all again, and I'll disown you. It would be as if I had never had a son. And even if I'm not killing you, I'll be throwing you into a prison where you'll fend for yourself. If you don't believe me, then just try me." Lucas did not actually believe his father, but he was afraid nonetheless. He knew that when pushed too far, John would really disown him. "I got it, Dad. I'll grovel before him as long as he saves Mom," he muttered. John sighed. Whether Lucas was sincere or not, he was finally changing his attitude. I know you're still upset and you doubt me. But there's this rumor. You might not have heard it before. But when I learned that Ted York is a miracle healer, I more or less understood the reasons behind many things. You know that his wife is Luna, and that her company Lunacorp rocketed to the status of a billion-dollar company in just a couple of years. Even if she's a genius in business, how much can she do? And is it really as simple as it looks? Just take a careful look into their path to success, and you'll see that they've managed to pick up more than a handful of quick, profitable projects. That means that they have the support of someone very important. Hell, an idiot who receives the same backing would reach where they are now too. And that backing has the Cash family's fingerprints all over it. Over the last 5 years, Jimmy Cash has visited Easton frequently and secretly. Add that to the rumors saying that Mr. York is close with the Cash family, and it's clear in hindsight why the Cash family would help Luna. So do you get it now, you mutt? All the details left Lucas' stomach churning, but at that point, his grief toward Ted could well be ingrained in his bones. He certainly wanted to argue. What if it was Luna whom the Cash family had taken a liking to? That could happen too. But at this point, he was afraid to even breathe a word. Just then John snorted. We're arriving soon. Now remember, only apologize and take any punishment coming your way. Your mother's life is on the line. And yours too. Also, if someone else is there with Mr. York, you'd better not expose his real identity. We can't afford the consequences. Lucas nodded, once again afraid to argue. And amid their exchange, their car arrived outside the villa. John took a deep breath and alighted on his own first without bringing Lucas along. Still, before he could ring the doorbell, the door opened, and John was left stunned by the sight that greeted him. It could not be helped either, as he found himself staring at a woman with a clear palm print on her cheek, as well as a younger man with a broken arm, whose face was also clearly scalded. Who would not be stunned? Then Ted appeared before him, frowning slightly. Looking for someone. John had no idea who the woman and the younger man were, but he understood that he must never expose Ted's true identity. Smiling, he promptly nodded at Ted. Mr. York, I presume? How do you do? I'm John Graham, the person who previously had an appointment. Are you at ease to speak at the moment? It seems that my wretched son had ventured off his own and ended up insulting you. That was why I've brought him here to apologize. John Graham? Wretched son? Apologize? Could it be Lucas Graham? Ted nodded as he quickly understood. If anything, John was at once earnest and knew his place, and could not have been more different from his son. It begged the question, how did such a shrewd father have such an idiot for a son? Nonetheless, Ted did not have the time for this. Save it. There was no misunderstanding. I'm sure your son would have told you what I said before, so don't worry. I'll be visiting the latest by tonight. His expression was nonchalant as if he said that all the time. But that only left John pained and paranoid. This was a threat. Only his stupid son, that bleeding fool, thought that Ted was agreeing to make a house call. John was absolutely frustrated with all the things he wanted to say but could not, with Dean and Wendy around. It was not a matter of pride either, but concern that he had exposed Ted's true identity against his will. And yet, he had to speak up because Ted was set on revenge. The dilemma could turn John's hair white, but that was when Wendy asked, Who are you? You dress rich and drive a nice car. What, did you upset him or something? Hearing that, John quickly said, I had a favor to ask of you, Mr. York, but my foolish son ended up insulting you, so I've brought him here to apologize. Turning, he shouted at the car. Get over here already, you wretch. Lucas had certainly never been this humiliated, being tied up so tightly and having to walk as the public watched. His face swollen after his father beat him repeatedly. He could hide in a hole right then, but he did not dare to disobey his father still. He was laughing as soon as he got out of the car. He thought he was unlucky, but as it turned out, there were others who ended up worse than he did. Forget Wendy's face having a palm print on it. Dean's hand was broken, and his face was covered with boils from being scalded and was absolutely pathetic. However, when Lucas accidentally let out a laugh, John turned white in rage. He rushed up and stepped Lucas across the face, bellowing, You wretch! You're still laughing. I'll kill you when we get home. Then, turning back to Ted, he bowed his head in apology. Please don't take offense, Mr. York. You can punish this wretch as you see fit, as long as you forgive our family. He deserves to die after insulting you." While Lucas was an absolutely spoiled brat, John was utterly earnest still. Before Ted could speak, Wendy was laughing coldly. "You're asking this one for a favor? What favor? Some corporate issue? Then you have the wrong person. You should be asking my daughter Luna. This loser doesn't call the shots for my daughter." "Oh right, you wouldn't know this, but my daughter has already divorced him. That's why you don't have to be afraid of him. Our family is kicking him to the curb now, and we don't want anything to do with him anymore. As for you, I mean really? Tying up your own son for business? For making money? Oh, just let him go already. Come visit me at my home whenever. As Luna's mother, my word holds sway." Wendy was so conceited that she simply presumed that John was approaching Ted for some corporate issue. Since Luna must have turned him down, such a thought was not at all surprising since Ted was no more than a loser, who knew nothing but cooking, writing crappy literature, and drawing doodles without Luna, who would ask him for anything, let alone be scared of him. Naturally, she was deliberately humiliating Ted to satisfy her urge for petty revenge, while John was left stunned by Wendy's ramblings. Lucas' eyes lit up. Ted was already divorced? And these people were his in-laws? Still, his gaze soon dulled since he was supposed to keep his mouth shut today no matter what happened. His father was right there. Moreover, did his family need to ask Luna for favors when it came to business? Meanwhile, Ted leveled a cool look at Wendy. "You can spread the news about my divorce all you want. I don't care. But you also seem to have forgotten that since there are no ties binding me now, you're going to get your other cheek swollen if you insult me again." Wendy was left gritting her teeth. "Humph. Let's see how long you can strut. Just don't come to us begging for scraps later. And that temper of yours, you must have used Luna's influence to push people around and make a lot of dough, haven't you? You'd better cough it all up or I'll make you pay." Turning to Dean, she then said, "Go get the car. Once he takes his stuff, we're kicking him to the curb." Dean was now scared of Ted, not daring to breathe a word and only shooting Ted a glare. Still, as he walked past Lucas, he glanced at the other young man who was twitching and slid him a card, muttering under his breath, "This is my card. I can see that you have a hard time because of him too. But there's no rush. Once I take back everything he owes us, we have all the opportunity we need for revenge." Lucas was left stunned even as he blankly took the card. However, just as John was about to snap at Lucas again, Ted growled, "That's enough. You could all leave now. I said I'll be visiting and I will." Before John could argue, Ted shot a cold glare at Lucas before turning back to him. "What? Are you doubting me?" At those words, John gritted his teeth as he bowed his head at Ted. "No, I'd never dare doubt you. I'll have my son kneeling as we await your arrival. Please, Mr. York. I really have no other option. My wife doesn't have much time left, so all I can ask is for your compassion, for me and for my wife." Even as John spoke, tears rolled down his cheeks. There really was no faking such genuine desperation. Ted was silent for a moment, then sighed. "Whatever. Just wait for my arrival." As he got into Dean's car, however, he felt a pang of emotion as he watched John's tears flowing down his cheeks outside the window as though John's wife needed help. But John was an incredibly important man here in Melville, whose fortune was almost beyond comprehension. And yet, this very same man did not shy from coming to Ted, begging for his help even through waterworks. Was there anyone who would claim that there was no love between them? The stark contrast of that against Ted's present situation left him incredibly emotional, which was also why he agreed to visit the Grahams. This was not the retaliation he meant before, as he was really going to examine John's wife to see what ailed her, and how strong their love was that it endured to this day. Wendy was at once gleeful, thinking that John was crying because he realized he had humiliated himself, since asking Ted for help had been proven useless. "Just look at you, Ted." She laughed. "Ha ha ha. You've been dumped, so you can't make money by offering favors now. And that geezer, honestly, isn't he embarrassed, crying out loud at his age? Even tying up his own son to ask my daughter for help? And now all he gets is humiliation for it. Oh, how tragic." Ted turned to her and asked quietly, "You're a self-proclaimed elite of Melville. Don't you know who that is?" Wendy snorted coolly as she rode shotgun. "Why would I know the name of some bawling loser? Anyone who asks you for favors must have no dignity left anyway, and be way beneath me. Only you would care about your fellow losers." As Ted sat in the back seat, He did not argue, instead smacking Dean on the head, leaving him stunned. What the hell did he do? He had just been driving despite the pain. What's that for? He snapped at Ted. You're too much. Wendy was bellowing furiously too. You're crazy. You don't get to hit my boy. On the other hand, Ted simply folded his arms before his chest and snorted quietly. Another word and I'll hit him again.